Hi, Katie here for week 2 discussion. So, the first question is discuss how your vision or view of ethics differ or are similar to those in the text. So, I think my view of ethics is pretty similar to what we read in the book this week. I mean, there's a lot of variances throughout what's considered ethics and what isn't. But in my opinion, ethics kind of comes down to what's right and what's wrong. And there's always some gray area there. Sometimes it's not black and white. I think I don't remember the page number, I should have written it down, but we learned on the one topic, subjective ethics, where it basically means the intent of the action is good, but it ends up leading to something bad. So I think as a general rule of thumb, as long as you have good intent with your actions, you're practicing good ethics. If your intentions are in the right place and you aren't wishing harm on anyone, so on. Page 48 has a chart of, well, I guess it was 47 and 48, has a chart of the different ethical philosophies, and I tend to kind of align with utilitarianism, which basically says that good ethics are when the greatest good comes to the greatest number of people. I feel like the more people that are in the positive, the better. The second question is kind of discussing your view of ethics and how they've changed over time. So I really found that the older I get, the more my ethics change. As a younger person, my ethical viewpoint maybe was more centered on myself and how I could be benefiting from things rather than maybe big picture or what's better for everyone. So now I'd rather be in the deficit than make someone else be in the deficit or other people be in the deficit. I've become kind of a pacifist, I guess, or a humanist. I call myself a humanist a lot, so that's probably a better way to put it. I don't want to make this post political at all, but I feel like with all the hate and selfishness and pain and violence that we've seen in the last year, it's really pushed me to change my views to be much more of a humanist, like I said, towards others. I see some of these things on the news or read on the news or see in social media, and I just feel like physical pain with just all of the hate and grossness there is out there. Question 2, based on the text, what are the most ethical issues you need to be aware of in the workplace? Why is it important? So page 50 gives us a pretty long list of 12 things that are considered ethical lapses in the workplace: lying, stealing, fraud, cheating, abuse, bribes, so on. It's a pretty inclusive list. I think it can be used for the workplace and outside of the workplace. The question also asks what the implications or consequences are. And I think that, if you're committing one of these ethical lapses at work, you could just get a slap on the wrist. Nothing could happen. You could get a write-up, you could be terminated, or depending on the severity of it, you could wind up in prison. So I think that there's a varying degree to which you could have some pretty drastic consequences for committing some of these things. As far as knowing if the issue is being appropriately handled or responded to, it really kind of depends on your level of employment. So if it's a peer that you've reached out to management, let's say, for doing something unethical, you're not going to know if they're talked to or disciplined unless they aren't coming to work anymore or something major happens. Otherwise, unless your boss is being unethical, you shouldn't know that they're being talked to or punished. So I really struggle with the next 2 questions. It says, based on reading your case study, what ethical issues do you present in the case that were also discussed in the text? So the only case study I could find throughout this module was on page 62, and it provided a link to a Bloomberg Businessweek advertisement basically showing a Continental Airlines jet mounting a United jet with a quote, "Let's get it on." So there wasn't a lot of text. The article that you could click on was, two paragraphs basically just describing the advertisement. So I really couldn't find five things in that case study that could be considered unethical. I feel like maybe this question is directed at something that either I'm missing or maybe was meant for a different week. I'm not sure. The only thing I could really consider it to be unethical is maybe the obvious sexual innuendo. Um, it could be considered personal abuse or sexual harassment or even sexism, depending on how you look at it. Um, Ultimately, I feel like it's just kind of poor taste, but in the long run, there really aren't five things that I could find that would be considered unethical in this case study. I hope I'm not too far off there, but that's pretty much all I could find. So yeah, I'm not sure how to answer question 5 based on that either. Um, yeah, well, I am interested to see how everybody else answers that. Have a good week. Thanks.